Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher, joined once again by Anthony Torgrud.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to. Hi.
What is
That
internet
wasn't as funny
picked out
in
or
real
something?
life as I thought it was going to be.
Maddie's here as well.
Yep.
No words from anybody today, right? It's just going to be me, is it? Yeah, here we go,
That's what
boys.
they want, anyways. Let's be real.
I'm just glad that you're here. You know, it's good to have a full house for this one. Where the season's drawing to a close. We've only got 2 more games left after this one, but we've got a fairly exciting one to recap, and then one to preview, a bit of news to talk about, and of course some listener questions. So it's going to be a good one as always. I say as always. You know, the last few weeks have basically been therapy sessions, but here we are. Before we dive in to this week's episode, a thank you, as always, to our Substack founding members, Des Windsor McGlynn, Ali Tareen, Tito Mac, Moritz Pullman, Joey Gawler, Kemin, MJ Mats, Luke Villano, Raul Escobar, Rajat, Carlo Fassi, Nasser, and the latest addition to the list, Merlin Flinker. Briefly thought that might be Lorenzo's cat, but it is not. It is.
That's because that was a real person, but thank you, Merlin Flinker.
Yes, thank you, Merlin. I said we're trying to grow that list to around 20 before the start of next season. Of course, we're going to have plenty of exciting updates over on the Substack in what is going to be a very exciting and also, I guess, chaotic summer. It could well be a chaotic summer given the amount of things that will be moving around. So to go and check out the Substack if you haven't done already, you can try a week for free. I'm just going to read the titles for the last few things that we've had on there. The most recent long read went out 15 hours ago. It's raining bonuses, bit in there about CDK. Before that, we had more of that money ball, please. We'll look back at our transfer strategy from last summer and why it actually paid off. The bonus podcast, that'd be a totally different thing. Bonus podcast last week was repairing the defense. We each did a little bit on how we think we should rebuild the rear guard. And then something that everybody should read, the financials for 2023-24 and Milan's need to invest. Look at the accounts, breaking down the numbers that you need to know and why we are primed. We have this platform now, at least economically, to push the boat out and make some big moves in the summer. And with that said, let's go into the the Cagliari recap. I need to apologise for my voice. I don't know if you two boys are struggling, but I'm getting battered by allergies at the moment.
Yeah.
Really, really fucked. I don't know what, like tablets, one of their tablets are not working and stuff. So I've got a bit of a sore throat, but we're going to soldier on. Cagliari at home, San Siro. Another sort of strange atmosphere for this one because the Curva Sud announced that they were going to continue their protests, which meant no chants and no banners and whatnot. So it had a bit of like a banter era vibe to it once again, you know, where like everyone was a bit on edge in the first half and the misplaced passes were getting groaned and you felt it sort of drifting towards being another difficult night like the Genoa game. In the end, before we dive into the specific incidents, it was a rather convincing rout.
It was, surprisingly. I don't think any of us really expected it.
Yeah.
And then I think someone in the chat was like, oh, our last 15 games have been 3 goals or more or something. I was like, no shit. And then I feel like I took the first goal, and then next thing I knew, it was 5-1.
What did you say about
I think he was referring to that stat about how we've won something like, is it 8 of the last 9 against Cagliari and we've scored over 3 in a certain amount of those games?
Yeah.
Like all but
just against them.
Yeah, like
we've not been that high.
It's probably our most one-sided fixture in Serie A in terms of our recent record of wins and free scoring. When we win, we seem to hammer them, and it proved to be so. Like there's no, we knew the situation coming into this game. We're kind of coasting. We're expected to get second place. As it turns out, with the other results, including Juve's continued capitulation, we sealed second place this weekend. But we knew that was coming anyway, realistically. We were always going to win that one more game that we needed. And Cagliari are fighting for points because they need to try and stay in the league. And as a result of the games over the weekend, they're now 1 point off the bottom 3. And they've got a very, very interesting game against Sassuolo coming up on Sunday. That's the early kickoff. And then they've got Fiorentina in the last game, so you can't expect that they'll take anything from that. If Cagliari were to lose to Sassuolo at the weekend, then I think it could be curtains for them. Claudio Ranieri, obviously an experienced coach, known for his time at various Italian clubs and winning the league with Leicester and stuff like that. Didn't get a lot right in this game, in my opinion. They pushed when they shouldn't have pushed, and that second half was a bit of a bloodbath. Really, it could have been even more in the end. Before a ball was kicked, there was a bit of surprise when Sky broke the news the night before that Pioli was going to do a bit of rotation and leave out 4 pretty key players, or what have been key players anyway. Calabria, Tomori, Leao, and who else am I missing? Teo, yeah. Going to leave all those 4 out and freshen things up. He kind of hinted in his press conference that some of the players that have played a lot this season, or perhaps are just coming back from injuries, are struggling for fitness. Basically, they've got a nearly empty battery, and therefore he decided to change things up. I mean, look, benefit of hindsight with the result, but correct move to just play the fittest 11 at this point?
I mean, if it's a fitness thing, then okay. I don't think he said that beforehand, though, did he? He said it was a technical or tactical decision, something like that?
Well, he said that it was like nobody had injuries, basically. But in the pre-match press conference, he said some of the players are feeling it after a long season. So, I mean, it can only be... Because otherwise, it's a strong statement to bench them if they're 100%.
I mean, here's the thing.
Well, you think Calabria's captain, Teo's vice captain, Leao's third in line for captain. You bench all 3 like that. That's sending a big message if it's not fitness related, you know? So, and I did think it was interesting that Benacer kept the armband even after they all came on, which was strange. I mean, whatever. Like, they're all buddies, so they're just like, oh, keep it, do your thing, you know? Who took it when he went off? Was it Teo probably?
Teo, yeah, he threw it to Teo.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, cool to see. I mean, I say cool to see. Like it's a bit mad when you see players like Leao and Benacer wearing the armband at all. Not necessarily a reflection on the
now, not when 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, not before, but when you just think about sort of the way that this season's gone and things like that, for that to happen is mad. Like, I know the way that we do it is based on appearances, and with it, the realization dawned on me that, you know, Benacer's been here for what will soon be half a decade. Like, where has that 5 years gone? Mad. But it was nice to see, and do you know what? He put in a performance that was certainly befitting of having the armband, and that leads us into the first goal because he was the one who scored it. Nice little move on the left side of the box, little interchange between Reinders and Chukwueze. Chuck nearly got there to get it past Scuffet in the goal, and then it fell to Benacer, who basically, like, first time hit it into an empty net. Not the nicest of goals compared to what was to come. Who was it?
That man behind me was Pulisic. Pulisic made the cross that was blocked. Landed to Chukwueze, who shot it. It was blocked, and then it bounced to Benacer.
I need to rewatch that goal. I'm fairly sure it was Reinders. Are you saying Pulisic put in the cross?
Yeah,
the right. Oh, right. Okay, yeah, that's right. And then Reinders and Chukwueze were on the left side of the box, and they did a little thing, and then Chukwueze, loose ball, Scuffet stopped it.
The Milan player that touched it before Chukwueze was Pulisic.
I'm watching it back. I'm watching it back.
Okay.
Anyway, Benacer scored. Do with that what you will. It was a nice finish.
Yeah, it was a nice finish. I couldn't tell if he whiffed the shot or if it was just a weird ball because it had that bounce, but obviously, who cares? You know, it went in. We needed it too because I don't know how many shots we had at that point, but it felt like a lot and nothing was happening. And it seemed like it was going to be just another one of those games where we were doing everything right, but we just couldn't get it in. And then we did. We got it in. So it was exciting, and obviously that was his first goal of the season. You know, he had quite a few of them last year and throughout his tenure, so it was nice to see him get back on the score sheet after a long season of injury. And yeah, that's all I really got about it.
Yeah, it was
4-3-3, right?
It was a 4-3-3. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. FootMob has it a 4-3 or 4-2-3-1. I feel like the 4-3-3 worked again, right? I don't know why we ever switched out.
Because we lost one game, 4 games in.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, it was a bit of balance.
Speaking of not wrong, was I right, Ollie?
You were right, yeah, you were right. I got it the other way around in my head. Reinders was the one who dinked it to Pulisic, who then, I guess, kind of like dropped to Chukwueze, who then like dropped it off to Pulisic, and then it was a bit of a mess, really, what was going on.
Yeah, it was.
I had him the other way around in my head.
There was no official assist on there. So.
No. And yeah, that meant we were 1-0 up going into the break, and then a few minutes into the second half, Pulisic got his goal.
Mm-hmm.
He scored a brace. It was his first. It was his first brace for us, which I was surprised about.
Really?
I had no idea that he'd only been scoring one goal.
Yeah.
That was kind of mad. And this one
that assist from Leao was perfect.
Yeah.
It just makes you think like what the numbers could be had he done that all season. Because how many times did we say like he should have squared it or he should have made the pass? Like to a lot of players, not just Leao, but specifically Leao did it a lot, and that one was just weighted to perfection. I mean, you can't ask for a better pass than that. We did get a better pass than that for Leao from Benacer later in the game, and we'll come to that. But yeah, I mean that was so nice. It was such a perfect pass that I thought for sure Pulisic was going to miss the shot because there was just no way something good happens to us. So
only when it's Juric, by the way, when he gets a perfect setup, he just
Whiffs. Well, and Juric came off right at halftime.
Yeah, that was something worth mentioning is that Leao came on at the break, and whatever, if it was a tactical change or if you only have 45 minutes in the tank, whatever you say, it had the desired impact because it was basically the Leao and Pulisic show in the second half. Like they were both really, really good, and they tormented Cagliari, to be honest. Like it's a reminder.
Because we were up 1-0 at half, and we made a triple halftime sub with Tomori and Okafor as well. So it's like everything we've been asking to see from Pioli, and now he does it when it absolutely does not matter.
Yeah. It gave us a bit of mobility up front. Like you could see it instantly. It all sort of clicked into place. In fact, Leao hit the bar just before that Pulisic goal, and that would have been a lovely assist too, a crossover to the far side. And it was a tough chance. Should he be burying it? Player of his quality? Probably yes, but it was a tough chance with the way that it came up on him, and he had to try and adjust himself quickly. But yeah, he could have had another goal prior to that. But lovely setup for the goal to make it 2-0. Then, of course, as we do, we allow them straight back into the game. Clean sheet goes. Zappa. This was a really nice goal, actually. Yeah, we're stood and we're asleep, and it's disappointing to concede. They had threatened at times, though. Sportiello had made some good saves, and I thought he was really, really good once again. But yeah, Zappa puts in a really nice ball. Musa loses track of his man, and Nandez is the one who diverts it in. I'm thinking, here we go. We've done well to build a 2-goal lead. It vanishes out of the window. We're playing a team that's scrapping for points. We're going to be sat back now for the remainder of the game to try and protect that lead. That didn't end up happening. We blew them away with 3 goals in the final 16 minutes of the game. The Reinders one was at least from a pure entertainment aspect, the Reinders goal was the goal of the night. Just decides to unload from 25 yards and finds the bottom corner with a howitzer.
That was a great goal. I mean, I didn't expect it, and it was critical as well because it, was right after they got their goal. So they were back into it. And as Milan fans, we know it's easy to blow a 2-0 lead. So when we give them one, we go, all right, here we go. Like it's happening again. And when Reinders gets that third one so quickly after, I think it was like 10 minutes, it just kind of knocked the wind out of their sails. They had nothing left at that point, and we just turned on. And you could see it. It was like a mentality shift, like we're back sort of deal, And then we just took off. Like, what was Leao's goal the next one after that?
Yeah. Brilliant work from Benacer.
The Benacer pass was like half field, split 2 lines. Again, perfectly weighted and more impressive than the first because of the distance it had to cover. And another moment where I'm like, surely he's missing. Rounds the keeper, basically walks it in. Just beautiful.
Yeah. That was perfect composure from Leao. You sometimes see it where forwards, particularly wingers, I think, they have too much time almost to plan their finish. They have too much time to think about it, and they end up making the wrong call. We saw both of ours score in similar ways in the second half of this game. Pulisic brings it under control, shifts it over onto his left, and fires before rounding the keeper. But then Leao finishes when the keeper's already committed, rounds him and scores. Lovely goal. Then Pobega came on with 6 minutes left. That's 125 days since his last appearance. Not much to report on him, but, he's been out for a long time, and it was nice to see him finally return, given that they said that he would be out for the rest of the season without a doubt. And then Pulisic got his second goal. This one, as soon as he hit it and it got cleared off the line, I was like, that was in. You could just sort of tell that, like, I don't know, I just thought it looked like it had gone in, and then the ref blew straight away. But it was a heroic effort.
Yeah, I didn't think it was in right away, but granted, I was also at a bar, so the TV was quite a bit away from me. So when he saved it, I was just like, damn, what if that went in? And then immediately after he said that, the whistle, boop, it's in. I was like, oh, cool. So, yeah, it's been a while since we put 5 in,
Yes, it has. And what was I say? Oh, yeah, I suppose, I guess it was a heartwarming initiative, I suppose you could say. Basically, Mother's Day was on the Sunday in Italy, and I gather around the world. I think we're the only country that has a different Mother's Day to everybody else. But yeah, it was
everyone had a different one, to be honest. And I was like, oh, that's really great American marketing there going on in Italy right now.
I swear Italian Mother's Day was like the week before. But turns out it wasn't. It's the same day. So I don't know. I was confused too.
It may have just lined up right this year.
Yeah.
Well, it may not be the same because it's not the same day every year here, right?
It's the second Sunday, I believe, of May every month.
Yeah, that sounds right. So yeah, they all wore their mother's maiden names, I guess their mother's birth surnames, on the back of their shirts, which I'm surprised, given that the club did an official announcement, and even Serie A did a lot of plugs to do with it, because it was an initiative that was launched by Milan, and they invited other teams to get involved with it, and the majority of them said no because it was too short notice, but there were 6 other teams as well that got involved with it. I was surprised how many people have been asking in the comment sections and on Twitter and stuff like that, like, why are they all wearing different names? They thought they decided just to change surnames for the day or whatever.
Well, they didn't advertise it well enough. I think the first time I heard about it was like Friday night late. So I was like, oh, okay. And then you didn't see much. You saw on like the usual Twitter accounts saying it was going to happen, but you didn't see anything from Milan or the clubs or Serie A until like the lineups, and everyone was just kind of confused. Like there was no explanation in that first one.
Yeah.
It then
connected the dots when
say that again.
I kind of connected the dots though when Oliver shared the picture. It was Conceicao, right? And I was like, that's like a big leak. And then he showed all of them, and then I was like, oh, that's definitely all like the mom's names or something.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You can connect the dots. It definitely, when they put the lineup though, because they don't have the pictures of the players, like at least mine, and I think other people's first thought was like, are we playing the Primavera? Like, who the fuck are these people? It was weird because even though it has the numbers, like you look at the names, at least I do. So I didn't know who the lineup actually was.
You just trying to match up numbers, and then realize I don't even know most of the squad numbers either. Yeah, I tell you what, the Conceicao thing was pretty funny because obviously they're publishing photos, and it's just like, the shirt with the 10 and stuff, and I think they knew what they were doing with that. Even if it ends up being true or not, like, it got some interaction and stuff like that. But also, Pioli got asked about it after the game. He was like, oh, did you see Leao had Conceicao on his shirt? And he's like, oh, I didn't see it. If I'd have seen it, I wouldn't have brought him on. I thought that was quite funny. So it shows how aware he is of what's going on. But he repaid the faith.
And I do have a little breaking news, a little bit of an exclusive for us here on SempreMilan. I asked around, and I did receive confirmation. Christian Pulisic is not related to Jack Harlow.
Oh,
coincidence.
Like, holy shit, AJ actually has something for us.
I'll write that up after
Technically,
this.
no one on the internet had it. I searched for a while. I had to dig deep, talk to my sources.
Yeah, it's an
They're
interesting
probably like,
surname,
who is
Harlow.
this person asking me this right now?
No.
No.
I'm trying to think who had the most impressive surnames because obviously I
Those
think
were the only two that like stuck out to me.
I know. I think Liao's just because it's like so
That was the
ironic,
main one.
right?
yeah. One of them was it Sportiello's? Was Columbo? Or was it Gabbia's?
Yeah.
Gabbia's was Columbo, which is quite funny. I'm thinking, fucking hell, when did we recall him? Capuana, Kalulu's is Wakamba.
I like the Okafor's was just Nicole. I
Hey
feel
guys,
like that
it's
was her
Nicole.
first name and he just didn't understand the assignment. I don't know.
Yeah. 21, obviously, Chukwueze was George.
Yeah, but I think like some places, like I don't know where like Okafor's family comes from. This I probably shouldn't even say this because it could be completely wrong. There's something like in India where like you take your like the family's last names don't get passed down as like the first name.
In Portugal and in Spain, and this might be the case for other countries, as you're saying, they do something where they take the mother's maiden name and it basically becomes like a middle name for you.
Yeah.
So it keeps being passed down. I think we've spoke about this, but like that's
Well,
why
in-
Conceicao is still in Liao's name.
2022, Italy passed a law to where the mother can pass on her surname instead. So you don't automatically take your father's in Italy
Right.
anymore. Now the parents get to choose which one, which is interesting.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
didn't know it was outlawed. I'm sure it just goes back to like Roman Catholic days.
So spouses and children take the first name of their father as their last name or surname. So Nicole is definitely not the name of Okafor's dad. But you guys understand my train of thought now.
Maybe he just likes that famous YouTuber. Reinders' was Lekaton Pesi, which is an interesting one. That's a good one. Like that. I know he's half Indonesian, I believe. So that might be that. Tops and flops. Just a
I don't know
straight
who I
segue.
want to pick for top. I mean, I guess Pulisic Brace is like an easy pick, but I don't know. I mean, Benacer had a goal and an assist, but he also had a yellow card. So
he's my pick. Benacer was, he's come under a lot of criticism as Benacer in recent weeks, and I think rightly so because the levels of his performances after he came back from injury have not been what we were all hoping for, and they didn't really pick up as the weeks went on as we hoped for. But I thought that was an outstanding, dominant midfield display, and that is exactly what we need from him next season. As we're trying to plan the midfield for the future, if he can keep putting in performances like that most weeks, then we're in good hands. Goal and assist too.
Liao also had a goal and assist as well. I'm gonna pick Pulisic. Get one more in there for the season. So that's the top.
Was going to pick Benacer as well, only because I feel like a goal and assist is bigger for him than Pulisic or Liao.
And the flop, tough one because there weren't any real stinkers. I don't think in particular. No, but not like
Mr.
It wasn't
Goodbye.
it wasn't like Pryor when he's missed a chance from 3 yards and hit the crossbar. It was more so just that we're seeing the effect on a 37-year-old of a long season, and he just can't really.
I feel like he did have a big miss obviously the first half, that's all he played, but I feel like he did have a decently large miss. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
possibly.
Did he have a
most rated player?
Let's see. Did he have he had a shot on target, so it must have just been saved.
My pick is Musa anyway. I thought he got an opportunity to start in what would probably be his preferred midfield role, or at least in a 3, and I've been calling on him to get a start just so we get a run of games to see what he can do. And it wasn't a tidy performance. He lost his man for the goal. He wasn't particularly good in possession. He just looks a little bit lost at the moment. He's young. He can grow. I hope another preseason will help him do that. But I wasn't.
Yeah, it's hard not to be lost when you've been played in 6 different positions in 6 different games. So
yeah, admittedly,
but
yeah.
Hey,
his
Pioli
stats
well
in the
does
game
not
are pretty
help him
poor.
find
I'm
that,
still
right?
picking Giroud though because
Yep.
need one more Giroud flop of the ever, so
Maddie?
Good.
We can move on then to the penultimate game of the season, our final away game of the season against Torino at the Stadio Olimpico Grande Torino. They are not particularly grande this season, though. Maybe that's an inappropriate pun to make, given that, Grande Torino side and whatnot. But, they're 10th in the table anyway. They've won 12, drawn 14, lost 10. They've only scored 33 goals this season in 36 games, and they've only let in 32. So essentially, they're a contender for the most boring side in the league. Sorry, you know what you're going to get with Ivan Juric sides. They're set up to be pretty resilient. But a run
did he
of
announce he's leaving at the end of the
yes,
season?
he did. Yeah, a run of 0 wins in the last 5 games prior to the game that they played most recently. Was enough for them to essentially announce that he's going to leave. His contract is up anyway, and there was I guess they didn't get very far in extension talks, but yeah, he will be leaving at the end of the season. He's been there, surprisingly, since 2021. I thought he'd been there longer than that, but I suppose you left Verona for them, and yeah, I mean, they're about where you'd expect them to be. There are some names in their squad. I do think that they're a team that, like, with a proactive coach, could probably be quite good to watch. If you look at they've had Per Schurz, who's been linked with some big clubs. He's been a good signing for them. Obviously, Bongiorno, who's expected to probably leave this summer. David Zima, he's been good. Ilic, who they signed from Verona. Snabria, who I don't think is a terrible centre forward. They've got Ricardo Rodriguez, which is funny. Nikola Vlasic, who we've been linked with. Lazara, who was at Inter. Bellanova, who was at Milan. Samuele Ricci. They've got Milinkovic-Savic's brother, Vanja. Duvan Zapata on loan from Atalanta. There's something to build around there, and yet they've just been so uninspiring to watch this season. That being said, it's Juric's final home game as a Torino manager, and that is why they are going to beat us.
Yeah, I can see it.
We just won 5-1, so it makes sense that we lose embarrassingly the next game. So
Exactly.
Against the last team we scored more than 5 goals against too.
Yes.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. It could be wrong. I really don't remember, but at least in the league, I remember the 7-0 or whatever it was against them. So
yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're playing for literally nothing. We've locked up our final position. No matter what happens, we will finish second. You get nothing out of that except for Super Cup semi. So we've accomplished everything we can accomplish this season. Play the kids, let them showcase what they could do. Put the people who we want to move on from the end of the season, put them in the shop window, give them a chance to, up their value a little bit. Don't risk injuries for any of the big players. Maybe save them for the last home game so we could do, something nice. Give Giroud the minutes. I don't fucking care. Whatever. It is what it is at this point. He's going to get them. He's leaving. Say goodbye. Give him his 90s. Yeah, I mean, meaningless game. It might as well be a friendly.
Yeah. I hope it's not played like that. I hope both teams just drop the gloves and say, let's go at it. But I just don't see that happening. Something else interesting to note about this is that at the weekend, the Primavera are playing Torino, and it's a win and in situation for the playoffs. So I think any chances of us calling on the kids is probably gone because they're going to be playing in that to try and get into the playoffs, which is fair enough. They've still got objectives to fight for.
It's genuinely more important than this game. So
yeah, it is. Yeah, that's a competitive game to start with. But yeah, I would like to see a little bit of rotation. I think I agree. Giroud is 2 goals off 50 for the club, I believe. So he'd maybe like to score 1 in each to get to a round number there. However, I'm just thinking that Salernitana game at home is going to be his big send-off. So can we just get a game with Okafor up front? However, Chukwueze is injured and probably out for the rest of the season. Therefore, think he might be getting more minutes on the wing, if anything. Maybe Jovic starts instead. I don't know. It's really tough to predict the team for this one after what happened last week. We weren't expecting such major changes against Cagliari, but they were forthcoming. Gabia is suspended for this one. So, yeah, he's picked up a yellow.
Loss.
Yeah, that's it. That's us done.
He
so I guess it will
our best defenders. So.
Yeah, it will force us to probably play Tamori Chow or Tamori Kalulu, or maybe Kalulu
I would like
stays
to
at
see
right
Kalulu
back.
again.
Yeah,
that was cool having him start. He looked good.
Look good at right back. Yeah, I must admit.
Nice to have him back. So
yeah. Score prediction. As said, I think we lose 1-0, and I think it's a shit game.
I'll go 2-1 us.
Go 2-1 them.
Nice. Right, let's move on. Talking points. So we still don't have a manager. We still have no idea who the manager is going to be. Perhaps that's to be expected. I kind of respect if, say, in a few days it comes out, but we've done everything under the radar. That has been a theme of this ownership so far, is that they've been pretty good at getting things done without them leaking to the media. And the media at the moment are just in that throw shit at a wall and see what sticks phase. Like one day Gazetta are saying we're in for Ugarte at PSG, and then this morning they're saying we're going to bid 20 mil for Fofana. Like there's no consistency in what's being reported at the moment. I guess the most interesting developments are that Conceicao met with Andre Villas-Boas, who is the new Porto president, and they've decided to postpone any decision until the end of the season. Does that impact how much you want him? The fact that we'd have to wait potentially 2 and a bit weeks?
No.
Are we willing to wait?
Yeah. We're already going to wait 2 weeks. Who cares?
Yeah. I also think that Villas-Boas is just trying to not come in and shake up the boat right away, which I can get, right? He doesn't want to, lose.
Are they still playing for anything or no?
Yeah, they've got a cup final, I think, in a week or so.
I
totally understand it. Like, I'm not expecting him to come out and say, I am leaving now, but I don't know. His comments were interesting as well. He said, basically, don't ask me about it, out of respect kind of thing. But also, I'm not tied to my seat sort of thing. Even though he's signed this 5-year renewal, it is basically he can unilaterally terminate it because he signed it under the previous president. So I guess there's a job on for Porto and for Villas-Boas to convince Conceicao to stay around and to continue, given that he's been there for 7 years now. My worry is, and I think it's fine to wait 2 weeks knowing that he's going to come. Maybe privately he said, don't worry, I'm going to leave. Like, I will be joining you, but I just can't announce it yet. But what if you wait 2 weeks and then he decides he wants to stay, and then the management will be hounded for not having moved for any alternatives and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm playing.
They signed a pre-contract or something, right?
Potentially, yeah.
Illegal, but
potentially. And then this morning, last night, Di Marzio and Sky, although they're basically the same, said that we're interested in Marcelo Gallardo, who was River Plate manager. He's currently managing Al Ittihad in the Saudi League, and he will be out of contract soon because he's going to terminate that deal. His deal there is worth 22 million a year.
Yeah,
the levels of money that are in that league is incredible. He hasn't done particularly well in Saudi, to be honest, and they've got a team that is full of names, but I don't really look at the Saudi league and judge managers based on it. It seems to be full of a lot of egos that are towards the end of their career that maybe are lacking in the motivation. I might get hammered for that comment, but I
can agree, but it's kind of like when you hire a manager, they did bad in the MLS, right? Well,
yeah,
maybe. Like, kind of hard to judge.
If you look at the Saudi League stadiums, they're massive, and you look at the attendance, and it's like a couple thousand. Like Ronaldo, one of the greatest players in the history of the sport, is pulling in 2,000 people a week.
No way.
What's the population of Saudi?
How do you expect them to put on the best show? And then you look at Al Ittihad or whatever. Every name on that list of people that you would know: Luis Felipe, Benzema. There was a few more we talked last night that I already forgot.
And N'Golo Kante, I think.
Yeah, Kante's the only one not injured, which is ironic.
Right.
But they're all on the injury reserve list. So it has been just kind of a bunch of random dudes that have been playing,
There are some like...
He's only 25,000.
Right. Well, so I like... I mean, I don't want to go into it too much because it does feel like they've plucked a name out just because he's leaving his current club and he was mentioned in some other lists. So I can't fully put my heart into this, but I really like him, and he was one of the names that I thought about last summer when he decided to leave River Plate and come over to Europe. He was hoping for a job in Europe, but by the sounds of it, he's kind of cherry-picked and he's been waiting for the right project to come along. I think Sevilla got in touch and he said no. And I think he's within his rights to sort of pick the club that he wants next, because he went to River Plate when they were in an absolute mess and won 14 trophies in eight years with them, which is really good. And people say what they want about the standard of the South American League, but he won the South American Champions League twice, including beating Boca in that final that ended up being like the second leg was played at the Bernabeu or whatever, because it all kicked off back in Argentina. But I think his era at River Plate, the attachment that he has to that club and how much they love him speaks volumes. And I think he's a manager who could build something, and he plays an entertaining style of football. And the problem is, and I think it's a very legitimate concern, is the fact that he has never managed in Europe. He's played in Europe. He's played at multiple clubs. He's played at big clubs. He's played at PSG, for example. Played for DC United. Why isn't he regarded as one of the worst bits of transfer business?
Yeah, he got one of the first big contracts. At one point, he was the third highest paid player in the league behind Beckham, and I forget the other guy's name. He was a Mexican player. But yeah, and then he was just injured the whole time. I think he played like 10, 15 games, something like that, and then fucked off the next season.
Yeah.
Really good old MLS story right there.
Classic stuff, man.
Yeah. So yeah, I like him. I think it's an intriguing profile, but I understand there's a lot of risks attached to it. But I just thought that was an interesting name. And as for the striker, we've still no idea who it's going to be. It's either going to be Sesko Zirkzee or Jonathan David's name's come back up. Garassi's name's never far away. In terms of big sales, there's rumours Bayern Munich are interested in Teo and Maignan, but it's going to take a massive offer for us to even consider selling. Leao's going to stay for another season, as per virtually every reliable source. I say another season, like he's definitely going to stay beyond the summer. It's just a lot of uncertainty. When you package all that together and you think, actually, I have no idea how our team's going to look next season. Mm-hmm. No idea at all, because we need to sign a centre forward, we need a centre midfielder, a centre back, probably another full back. And that's without any big sales. We're going to have to spend 100 mil plus to plug the gaps in this squad. We've no idea what the recruitment's going to look like until the head coach comes in. We've no idea who the head coach is going to be. It's like a conveyor belt or like a chain of uncertainty at the moment, which is making me hard to feel safe and feel confident that we're going to be ready for next season. Do you share that?
Fuzzies?
Not getting the warm fuzzies, the warm tinglies.
It's a normal
summer
at 81, man.
It just depends on how fast we move. If we announce a manager within the first week at the end of the season, then okay. But remember, as soon as the season ends, we all fly to Western Australia, and the stars are going to be there. That's contractually obligated. They will be big names, not all of them, but most of them. And would they have the new manager for that? Is it just going to be Pioli? Is it going to be a caretaker? What are they going to do?
Oh shit! I never thought about that.
Yeah, so they do need to do stuff quick, because it's 8 days after the season ends. It's essentially one more game in the season just in Australia, and it doesn't fucking matter. It's weird.
Isn't that against Roma?
Yeah.
Roma,
it is the worst idea I've ever heard. I know it's a money-making thing.
It was paid for by Western Australian government. So.
Yeah, and I tell you what, the stadium is incredible. But
there's nothing wrong with Australia. Let that be known. We love it. It's just this game makes no sense.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Milan fans out in Australia, and I'm so glad that some of them will get a chance to travel.
But not in Perth.
Yeah, Perth's a bit
Australia. You're in Melbourne.
And honestly, in Melbourne and Sydney, it's like a 5-6 hour flight away.
I think it's even longer.
Australia's that big.
It's like a 36-hour drive.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
crazy.
long way. Like it is the length of Australia is like the length of Europe. It is
Yeah, I think
mega.
it's US also. It's like the exact same size. It's
Also,
fucking
I
crazy.
once looked at doing like a flight because I've looked at going back to Australia. I wanted to do Ayers Rock or Uluru as they call it. And it's like 4 hours from Sydney and it's in the middle of the country. So yeah, it'll probably be like an 8-hour flight over to the other side of the country. Madness. Huge. And big spiders and shit. So don't fuck with the Aussies. Shit cricket team though. Let's do some questions anyway. They're not that's good. Okay. Marius Gerasim asks, why would Milan sell Adli? I think he's more than decent squad player. It would only make sense if we replace him with a first 11 player, but even then, ... There are some reports that Adli will be the one that's sacrificed from the midfield in order to bring in someone, free a spot and bring in someone a bit more defensive.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't see that report, to be honest with you, but the reason they would do it is because we got him on a free. It would be
Adli
just pure capital gains. Yeah.
costs 8-9 mil from Bordeaux.
Oh, and then we left him there for a season on loan, right? Yeah. So,
But still, probably make a game. A little bit.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, whatever his so 5 years, it's been 3 already.
Yes. Yeah. So his residual value would be like 4 mil, 3 and a bit mil. So if we sell for 10, 15, it's still, yeah. It's at the stage as well. He's 22 years of age and he's had more opportunities this season. And I think he's done well in some of them, but he's clearly not fully convinced. Otherwise, he'd be starting now because the midfield's still a bit of a mess. But you're almost at the stage now where it's like, I know he's so attached to the club and the fans love him and he loves the fans. And it's all like, we're all rooting for him to just explode, but it's not happening. And kind of, is he at that stage in his career now where he needs to move somewhere and become a guaranteed starter to really kick on in his development and in his proper role, which, to be very clear, he's not a defensive midfielder, and yet Pioli converted him like he converted Krunic, and some good performances in that position. But I just wonder if we're reaching sort of a natural parting of the ways, especially if we make a big signing for the midfield. Personally, I'd keep him around and probably sell Pobega, but it's not as simple as that just because Pobega is so useful for the squad lists and stuff like that. Or can you do it in promotes Zeroli? I don't know. But yeah, I agree. Useful squad player, but we've got to look to push the level higher. And that includes raising the mean level of players in the squad. And I think a lot of it will come down to Adli if he wants to move. Matteo, hi, Matt.
Interrupt you for 1 second. I'm going to take a step back.
Okay.
It'll take 50 hours to drive across Australia, 3 months to drive around it.
3 months? What a road trip that would be. I say that it's probably like 90% unoccupied.
I had no idea that Australia was so big. I'm like mind blown right now.
And there's Tasmania as well, which is like an island off the south coast of Australia, which is part of it. And that's meant to be a bit wild as well. It gets
Sounds
a lot
like
of
a bad
storms and gets a lot of storms and stuff like that. Yeah, the Tasmanian Devils. Matteo asks, am I the only one that thinks Motta, Xerxes and Calafiori will stay at Bologna given they've got the Champions League? It would be good for the league.
Yes, seeing as Calafiori already has a pre-contract with Juventus announced. So, yeah, you are alone in that
Calafiori
one.
does?
Yeah.
Do you mean Motta?
No, Calafiori. You didn't see that?
Is his contract up?
His contract's not expiring.
No, they have an agreement, I swear. Unless I dreamt that. I swear to God that happened on.
I mean,
on
there's
like
the rumors
Saturday or Sunday.
about Motta having a verbal agreement with Juve, and his agent came out and said some interesting stuff, and Bologna's CEO came out and said, only Thiago Motta knows where he's going to coach next season. There's some implications that, like, he feels like he's done his bit there, and that he's going to take the step. I agree with him. I think it would be good for the league if they sort of hung on to them for another year just to see what they can really do at Bologna. I just refuse to believe. Like, we heard from a source that, and it's 2 different sources at Bologna.
I just want to correct myself. So, yes, there is a report. Juventus signed an agreement with Calafiori. Now working to find a deal with Bologna. Source, total bullshit. Tutto Sport via JuveFC.com. So
yeah, there you go. It would be a
all
good
garbage.
signing for them. I'd like Calafiori as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he's
been
great.
outstanding left centre back. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, from Bologna, it's come out that Xerxes either going to Arsenal or he's staying because like they're the team that are the most interested. They really need a centre forward. They can probably invest the money. I don't think any Serie A team, and I include us with our good financial position and definitely Juve, we ain't paying up the package that they want for him. The 60, 70 million. It becomes like it just outweighs sense and logic to do that. It's too big a gamble. So I could see Xerxes staying, to be honest, and doing another season there if he doesn't go to the Premier League.
Well, what could happen is they could be asking for so much, right? And then he becomes like a Belotti who just stays until he's worth nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, very, very true. Met Milo De Luca asks, which two players would you sacrifice out of Teo, Maignan or Tomori, seeing as they would likely command the largest fees, and who would be your ideal replacements for each?
Which two?
Yeah, which two of them? I don't think we're going to sell two, so should we do one? Selling two would be ludicrous.
Maignan.
Yeah, I would do Maignan, and if we did two, it would be Maignan and Tomori. I think Tomori gets the largest amount because he could go back to the Prem for big money. I think Teo's already finished his first contract, so he would be all capital gains at this point. But I don't see us doing that because it's much harder to replace that quality of a left back right now than it is to find a new center back,
especially when he's in
especially
form.
goalkeeper as well. So
there just aren't that many good there aren't many elite left backs out there, to be honest.
Yeah.
I also hold on to this hope that with Teo, like with other big names, when the new coach does come in, because everything that comes out about how settled he is in the city and he's raising his family there and whatnot, that it'll just be that extra. Not that they should need it because they're well paid for what they do, but it'll be sort of it'll light a spark and we'll see him back to his best and he'll kick on because he's entering his prime now.
His wife and kids love it there, so I don't see
him. Obina Ubabuko, sorry if I got that wrong, asks, why are journalists bringing up Conte's name all the time in Milan conversations? He's toxic. Our owners are still indebted to Elliot. Well, actually, technically true, but need to be careful with that. And he demands too much. I think let's broaden this discussion to all the stuff that's been going on surrounding Conte and the media campaign from him, his friends in the media like Chris Ucciello and his deputy, his assistant Stellini, who gave that interview last night about how he'd like the Milan project and stuff like that. Are you still in favour of it? And do you think it's all getting a bit desperate?
So I'm going to start with the first question of why is he being linked so much? Well, think about it this way. Milan is one of three of the biggest clubs in the country. Now you look at Italian managers. Conte is probably the second most prolific one that's active today behind Ancelotti, who's not leaving Madrid, obviously. And Conte doesn't have a job right now. Conte has won titles at the two other biggest clubs in Italy. And as always said, not only is he held in high regard, he is friends with everyone in the media because he's been around the media for decades as a player and a manager. And of course, he's going to be a name floated around multiple times over, especially with the Corvusud's protest about wanting all this stuff, the silly petitions going around about wanting someone who brings winners immediately. The only coach available who does that is Conte. So that's why he's being mentioned towards Milan every single day. The reality is, if we were going to do it, it would have happened already. He wants it. It's so obvious by the amount that's being begged in the media. His BFFs begging for him right now is his assistant, Stellini. Like, he doesn't want to go to Napoli. That's the job he's probably going to take if we announce a different manager. Let's be honest. But yeah, there's no club that makes sense for him outside of us, and I think that's why everyone's linking it. But it's not going to happen. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. we would have done it already. We would have announced it, I think.
Or it's just done, and they're waiting to announce it till the end of the season.
If it was done, I don't think his coaching staff would be doing interviews saying why it'll be good.
Yeah, unless it's like a spun narrative, like preemptive PR, to be like, trust me, this is why it's going to work, and then it does actually happen. But I just doubt.
I don't see it happening.
You hit the nail on the head. Like if it was going to be done, we'd have heard about it by now. You know, he's been out of work for 12 months. He so clearly wants to come back to Italy, and specifically the north, where he's settled. You know, he spent a lot of time here while he was recovering from his health problem, while he was at Spurs. Like he clearly feels a lot of attachment to the area, and he wants to probably tick off winning the league title with the big three. And
He'd be the only coach to do it.
Yeah. So I totally understand why people think there's plenty of boxes ticked as well, because he would signify a change in ambition and stuff like that. What I don't really understand and what I don't necessarily trust are the reports that are coming out, again, from the people that I think are part of this media campaign, saying his demands aren't as much as they have been before. You know, he'd accept a moderate salary. He wouldn't ask for loads of big signings in the transfer market and stuff like that. I feel like, one, probably bollocks, because he's a coach who wants to win and wants to win straight away. But also, two, if that really is the case, are you getting a diluted version of Conte? In which case, is he sort of downgrading his own ambitions now? And then do you want him anymore? Because has he lost that edge, that ruthless edge that has made him so successful at other clubs? I don't know. There's just far too much to weigh up before you commit a big salary package towards a bloke who tends to destroy what he builds very quickly.
I don't think him requesting a lower salary is that, but him not like demanding the players, definitely.
Because we're not built for a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3 at the moment. I know people have done their lineups saying this is how it would work if we did it, but that's not the system that the players have been trained for and stuff like that. So it would require a certain amount of overhaul in the summer. Would he be up to it? Yes, I believe so. And I think with him comes a guarantee of domestic success. But we've also seen how Europe-oriented this ownership are. They talk about being in the Champions League, being successful in the Champions League, unlocking those revenues. Conte is shite in Europe. He's never been good in Europe, really. He's perennially underachieved there, apart from when, Inter got to the Europa League final, but they flapped that ultimately.
Did he get to the Champions League final with Juve, or was that Allegri both times?
He did, but they lost to Barca.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was him or Allegri.
Oh, was it Allegri?
Allegri lost when they were against Madrid. I know that, but I can't remember if it was also Barca.
Maybe he made it to the semifinals. I know he had one run.
When they win, it was twice in 3 years. So, I can't remember.
One thing I will say as well is that, I think Conte's achievements with Juve get devalued because they say, well, who wouldn't have won with that squad? I actually had a look back, and there was competition. Like, there were other teams that got 90 points in and around there that season. So, like, he's, you have to keep up a certain pace and whatnot. But also, when he changed and he went to Inter, he took his next job back in Italy, he ended Juve's run of 9 titles. So I think he kind of proved, like, with that, I can do it. And then he left Inter at an interesting time. So, yeah, I don't know. The Conte stuff's going to keep coming out, but there's nothing concrete in it. Those who would know are saying that there's been no contacts or anything like that. I want to end with one question, and we could do it quick fire. Christian Espinoza, Benzema or Lewandowski, if they became available for half of what Xerxes or Sesko would cost, would you consider it?
Lewandowski, yes.
It was Allegri for both finals. What was the question?
Say that Benzema or Lewandowski was available for half the price of Sesko or Xerxes. Would you bring one of them in?
Lewandowski, yes. Benzema, no.
Yeah, I think I agree. With that. I don't want to do it, though, to be honest. Like, there's a guarantee of goals with them, but, we need someone young.
But
we need someone.
Yeah, then you're kicking it down the road. However, I think Lewandowski, not Benzema. I think he still has enough in him to do it. If it's a 3-year contract, get 2 good years and maybe a bench year out of him.
Yeah, and he could help mentor whoever comes in. He's one of the best in the recent generation, without doubt. we'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much to everybody for listening to this point. A reminder, go check out the Substack, in particular the free article, which is a look into the financial accounts 2023-24 and what it means for the summer transfer budget. We will be doing a watch along for the Torino game on Saturday night, so be sure to be back on the YouTube for that. Lorenzo and Steph are going to be conducting that one and chatting about all the latest news and whatnot. I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. AJ, cheers for joining.
Yep. See you guys next Monday. Yeah. Well, I don't know. We're going to do another Tuesday episode after Labor Day, Memorial Day. Fuck, dude. Memorial Day. Yeah, which is not next week. It's the week after, so never mind.
Money.
You guys in 2 weeks? I'll not be here next week.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Big absence to fill. Thank you for watching, everybody. We will be back in a week's time.
Gol! Ancora Teo! È una meraviglia! Il gol di Teo Hernandez da un'area all'altra! È una meraviglia! Senti il mio cuore!